Welcome to the SAM Broadcast Training Guide. SAM is the encoding software that Titan Radio uses to broadcast over the internet. So, to start off, we will talk about each desktop. Up here you will see Desktop A, Desktop B, and Desktop C. You can click further and see what is on each desktop, but we will start off with Desktop A. In Desktop A, you will see several windows such as Deck A, Deck B, Voice Effects, Playlist Categories, Queue, Sound Effects, Playlist, History, Volume, and Clock. But we will talk about Deck A and Deck B first. In each deck, you will see the song that is playing and the artist. It will also tell you the current running time, the total time, the remaining time, the intro and outro times, the bit rate and the sample rate, as well as whether it is in stereo or mono, and the beats per minute. These blue buttons on each deck indicate play/pause, stop, and load to next track. This allows you to pause the song. You can play it from where it was left off. You can stop the song or load to next track. Over here with these 5 beige buttons, you will see sync to cue point, eject, fade to next song, EQ, and match beat with the other deck. Of these 5 buttons, fade is probably the most button used. What this does is it will fade out the current song up from here and load up to the next song in Deck B. So if I click the fade button, you notice this song in Deck A has faded out and the song in Deck B has already started. Notice that although this song in Deck A was halfway done, it faded automatically to the end so that the song in Deck B could start up. Over here, you will notice the volume control panel. You can set this fader bar to volume control, pitch, or tempo. But we have set it to volume control because that is how we want to read the fader bar. Over here, you will see the zero out button for the fader. If you click it, it will zero out to 0 decibels. Below the fader bar is an air and a cue button. Make sure this is always set to air because you want to be broadcasting. Over here is a visual representation of the levels the song is outputting. Make sure it is not too high in the red zone. Let's talk about playlist categories. As you scroll through this window, you'll see several different folders. You can open up any of these folders, but for example, we will open up the music folder. So if you double-click on the Music All, you will see the contents of this folder will be displayed in the playlist. Since I double-clicked on music, I can now see all the music we have in our music library. As an FYI, we have all of our music in the external rate system. You can scroll down through all of these songs, pick whatever you like, and you can take it over to the Queue section window once you have made your selection. Over here, you can also remove this song from the list by right-clicking on it, and you can delete From All, which includes the entire music library. So if you don't like this song, playlist, PSA, or anything else, you can delete it by right-clicking on it. Let's go to History. In this window, you can see what else other people have played in the past 10 to 12 hours by scrolling through the window. As far as voice effects and sound effects are concerned, you will never need to use either of these unless you see that the station requires either of these too. Over here is another volume fader. Make sure it is always set to air because again you want to be broadcasting. And here's another standard clock. Let's move on to Desktop B. In this desktop, you will see several different windows such as Statistic Relays, the Graph, the Encoders List, PAL Scripts, the Event Log, the Event Scheduler, and the Request window as well as the FTP log. Up here in Statistic Relays, you will see all the information about the encoder. Make sure the format is always MP3. The server should be titled Shoutcast. The status should say encoding, but now it is inactive. And the details should say something like HTTP //ophanum.net. Right here is another visual representation of the encoder. Right now our encoder is not started, but once it is started, you will see encoding here or here. The event log, which is similar to history, is just another window telling you all the technical mishaps that have happened in the recent past. You can see all the events in the past by scrolling through the window. Do not worry about the request window. The statistic relays graph will tell you once our encoder has started, the current listeners of the encoder, and the peak indicated up here. PAL scripts. If you understand the PAL formatting language, you can program certain aspects using this formatting language for our events. The Events Scheduler is probably the most used common window here on Desktop B. You can schedule certain events to play at certain times, such as, if you want to load a PSA, you can do so by hitting the plus button. Then you can name your event whatever you want. And after you do so, you can add the files by going to the plus file button. Up comes a list for you to upload whatever you want. As an example, we will just upload this. So if you open this up, you will see it located here in this new window. You can also schedule this PSA to play whenever you feel like. You can execute it once, or you can execute it every day at a certain time. We will say 2 o'clock. And you can add it to the playlist by hitting the plus add button. Now I'll execute at every day at 2 p.m. You can also execute it more times during the day by hitting the plus add button multiple times. And you will see the PSA down here in the Events Scheduler window. You can also delete this PSA simply by clicking on it, right-clicking on it, and deleting it. The first event at the top of the Event Scheduler window is called the Top of the Hour Set. If you open that up, you will see a new window. This shows you what Titan Radio will play at the top of every hour if the automation is still running.